Have you ever considered the possibility that you might live until you're 100 years old? If you're, let's say, 25 years old right now, then that would mean that you could possibly live for another 75 years. That's a long time. Today I want to talk about this trend and how it might affect your life, and especially for all those of you out there who might feel like you're kind of behind in life, a feeling which I know all too well, then this video might change your perspective. In Japan, there was once this really interesting practice where all the people who got to the age of 100 years old would get a silver sake cup called Sakazuki. I know, right? The Japanese come up with the coolest things. In 1963, when this practice was started, only 153 people got this award. It was something that was rare and really special. But in 2004, almost 30,000 Sakazuki were awarded. And after a while, it just got too expensive and the government decided to stop the practice. Getting to 100 years old just wasn't that special anymore. So here's an overview of what the odds are for you. If you were born in 1997, then you would have a 50% chance of reaching the age of 101 to 102 years old. If you were born in 87, then you would have a half and half chance of getting to 98 to 100 years old. And even if you were born in the year of 77, then you still would have a 50% chance to get to 95 to 98. Life expectancy has increased by 2 to 3 years for every decade, according to researchers. Most of the increases in life expectancy are being enjoyed by people in more developed countries such as the US, Japan, Canada, and others. But this trend is a global phenomenon and also seen in developing countries, although lagging behind. A lot of life expectancy has to do with how well you take care of yourself. And I have a pretty good feeling that you watching right now are someone who is interested in living healthy, in personal development, and so on. And that makes you a pretty good candidate to get to the age of 100. So what will it mean to get to 100? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? It largely depends on the quality of life, you might say. There are two factions as always, the optimists and the pessimists. And by the way, let me know in the comments below whether you think you are an optimist or a pessimist in this sense. The pessimists believe in what is called a Hobbesian nightmare of an epidemic frailty, where people will live longer but suffer under poverty and old age diseases such as Alzheimer's, arthritis, etc. And then there are the optimists, who not only believe that we will live longer, but they also believe that we will be healthier for longer. And this is also called compression of morbidity, which is the health-related quality of life before death. Like the Stanford medical professor James Free said in 1980 that chronic old age diseases will likely start later in life. So good news for the optimists. I'm someone who believes that a possibly longer life is a gift, but that we need to put in some conscious thought and effort in order to make the most out of it. So why does this matter and how will this affect your life? The effects of living to 100 are very well described in a book called The 100-Year Life by Linda Grattan and Andrew Scott. In fact, if you believe that you are likely to live to the age of 100, then I would highly recommend this book as a basic manual of how you can manage a 100-year life. So here's a summary and also my thoughts on this. One effect of the 100-year life would be that most people would need to work until the age of 70 or even 80 in order to finance their retirement. Exceptions apply as always, but for most people it would be extremely challenging to completely retire at the age of 55 and already be in the kind of financial position that allows them to live comfortably for the next 45 years or so with the kind of living standard that they want. Just imagine how it would be if you would work in the current career you are in now from your 20s all the way until your 70s, so for about 50 years, without any significant break or any variation. For most people, that would be quite taxing and for some even very boring. You might have noticed all these people in their 50s or 60s right now who seem to be very financially successful, but along the way have kind of neglected their health and also their relationships.
Michael Scott, this is Jan Levinson Gould.
Just Jan Levinson.
No Gould?
No.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okay.
You're obnoxious and rude and stupid.
And of course, for some people, this works and they love this kind of single intensive career track. But then there are many other ways how you can structure your career within 100-year life without letting the other areas of your life fall apart. Let's talk about jobs and skills now. In the near future, there are a lot of new jobs and also skills that will be required. There will be a lot of changes in the job market and many traditional jobs will disappear. Robots and artificial intelligence will replace many of these jobs. And don't count on machines only doing very easy and repetitive tasks. Right now, many people still look at robots as these kind of dumb and clumsy things, but that will change very, very quickly. And there are already many examples of AI taking over jobs in the area of journalism, banking, law, teaching, and even insurance. Tell me, when was the last time that you bought insurance from an actual person? But that's a topic for another time. If you remember, the internet only became widely used in the 1990s, which was 30 years ago. What might happen within the next 30 years? If we only look at a 5 to 10 year time horizon for our careers, then minor skill upgrades such as taking an advanced Excel course or so might be sufficient. But depending on how drastic the developments will be in future, that might just not cut it. Major developments might make it necessary to make a complete reinvestment in new skills and knowledge. And balancing everything might also become a challenge. In a 100-year life, it will become even more important to find a balance between the financial and non-financial aspects. Money is not the only thing that needs to be balanced out across a 100-year life. But we will also need to balance our careers, our skills, our health, and our relationships. I'm pretty sure that you know how difficult it is to balance out work or school, finances, health, friends, family, even just across 1 year. It's a constant balancing act. But the even bigger challenge is to balance these things out over the long term. Look at it this way, you can't just work non-stop for a very long stretch of 50 years or so with no significant break and perhaps just 21 days of holidays. I mean, you could do that, but you would risk depleting not only your health but also your relationships. Everything is connected. If you don't take good care of your health, then you won't be able to work optimally. And if your finances aren't in order, then you might not be able to afford taking off some longer time so that you can spend some more time with your family, with your friends, or even just take off time to reinvest in your education, because otherwise you would risk your skills becoming obsolete. And the effect of all of this is that we have to change the way that we structure not only our lives but also our career. Instead of planning for the typical 3-stage life, which is education, work, and retirement, in a 100-year life, you can plan for multiple stages, meaning that you can plan for having 2 or 3 careers. Having multiple careers, the process of changing careers, and also planning for a multi-stage life are some of the things that I often talk about on my channel. So if this is something that you think you're interested in, then you might want to consider to hit the subscribe button, and also in that case, don't forget to hit the little alarm bell so that YouTube will notify you if there are new videos from me. So what does it mean planning for a multi-stage life? There are many ways to go about it. This means that you could decide, for example, to work on a specific career for 10 to 20 years, very intensively, working all those long hours, weekends, climbing up the corporate ladder, earning and saving up a lot of money. But after that, decide to consciously dial down that career or put it on pause or even leave it so that you can move on to the next stage of, let's say, 3 to 5 years where you spend more time with your family or with your kids, or simply on your interests and passion and do something more entrepreneurial. And certainly a lot of people are already doing this. But instead of letting it just creeping up on you, you can plan it in advance so that you could prepare for it in a way that actually works for you. For example, making the necessary preparations to change your mode of work from employee to freelancer or consultant, from full-time to part-time, or growing your emergency fund. There is one key skill that you will need in the future. It's almost like a meta skill, which is transitioning. To manage a 100-year life optimally, you will need to master the skill of transitioning. between different skills, work modes, priorities, and so on. You need to be very flexible, learn new things very fast, and have the ability to adapt to new ways of thinking. Objection: but I might not be among those who actually get to live to 100, right? I mean, you never really know how long you live. And I totally agree. But if you only plan for a 70-year life, then you will also risk that you run out of steam, which is energy, money, and health, and then you will also have a problem on your hands. If you don't prepare, but then it turns out that you are among those who actually get to 100 years old, then you might have a less pleasant rest of 30 years of your life, which isn't a great deal either. If you enjoyed this video, then please let me know by hitting the like button. As always, I thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day, and I hope to see you again soon.